Welcome to That's Good Sports. I am Brandon. I wish I had as many people to blame as Ben Roethlisberger does when he fails Perna. Where's my goddamn underperforming James Washington and diva Antonio Brown to blame for not being on ESPN, HBO, or Showtime? That's the risk you take when you work alone in your basement. Who sucks this week? Oh, right. It's me. I'm the one who sucks. I have nobody to point my finger at. I suck. I suck. That's what you need to learn how to do, Ben. This is your NFL Week 13 Game Picks episode. That's Good Sports. Please, if you're new to this YouTube channel, subscribe. So close to 100,000 subscribers. It would mean the world to me if you did that. Also, give my friend @WillKey6 a follow on Twitter. He helps me write all of these pick episodes. Give him some love. And I do have Big Dick Patreon shoutouts for TWS Stew Meat upping his donation to a lucky $13 a month, and Kevin Childress upping his donation to $3. Patreon is how I make a living, so if you want to support me there, patreon.com/thatsgoodsports. I'll love you forever. First game is the Indianapolis Colts versus Jacksonville Jaguars. My, how the turntables have turned. The Jags are in last place, and the Colts are fighting for a wild card spot. Jacksonville, despite being terrible, has found a way to stay in the news. This week, they did so by benching quarterback Blake Bortles, suspending running back Leonard Fournette, and firing their offensive coordinator. How do you fire Blake Bortles' offensive coordinator? The guy who got 2 playoff wins with Blake Bortles'. Well, my brake pads are shot. Better change the oil in my car. I'm having a hard time maintaining an erection. Better take some Claritin D. I'm really hungry. Better take a shit. That's Jacksonville logic. We all know Andrew Luck is playing like a young, Andrew Luck, but now people are calling Quenton Nelson, his guard, Earl Gray, because he can't stop teabagging linebackers and defensive linemen.
Blocks 47, and here comes the disrespect, just all up in the grill. Look at that, just getting in there, so disrespectful.
It's pretty clear at this point that Quenton Nelson only did 2 things when he was growing up: play tackle football and wreck shit in Halo 3 online. Quenton, just make sure you don't try those tactics with Cordarrelle Patterson. Or at least if you do, make sure you're wearing a cup. I'm taking the Colts, even though their victories decrease the Broncos' playoff chances. It's the Carolina Panthers versus Tampa Bay Buccaneers. After starting the season 6-2, the Panthers have lost 3 straight and are now in jeopardy of losing out on a wildcard spot in the NFC. I'll always be grateful to the Panthers for handing the Broncos their 3rd Super Bowl trophy. And for this legendary Panthers fan, but if Ryan Fitzpatrick is on the sideline, I can't pretend to give a shit about this game. Panthers probably finally get back into the win column. Baltimore Ravens versus Atlanta Falcons. It's official, quarterback Lamar Jackson will get his 3rd straight start against the Falcons. Are the Falcons wearing their throwback jerseys? Cause when they watch Lamar Jackson play, it will be like looking into a mirror that shows you the past with Michael Vick. Lamar Jackson said he wants to make road games his home, which doesn't make sense until you remember he lives in Baltimore, which has the highest homicide rate of any big US city, which you should already know if you've been watching this show all season. You come here for the bad football jokes, but you stay for the education. I'm taking the Ravens, just because Atlanta couldn't catch a W if they were eating alphabet soup. Again, bad jokes, great education. Cleveland Browns versus Houston Texans. Both of these teams made statement wins last week. The Texans did it in prime time, defeating a good opponent and by getting my man Demaryius Thomas 2 touchdowns in the process. The Browns did it by embarrassing their former head coach by scoring 28 points in the first half. Baker Mayfield took the phrase statement game a little too literally, continuing to make statements about the game all fucking week long. We get it, Baker. You're a bad boy. And Hue Jackson is not a good head coach. If you want to kick a man while he's down, do it on the field, like in Ndamukong Suh. I'm gonna go with the Texans in a sneaky great game of the week. New York Giants versus Chicago Bears. I was obviously going to pick the Bears to win this game, even with Chase Daniel still starting at quarterback. But when this photo of the American flag wearing Steve Weatherford emerged, I have to go with the Giants. That's former Giants punter Steve Weatherford, giving Saquon Barkley's naked body a run for his money. The Giants might be tanking, but this photo is winning. I think if Mitch Trubisky wants to heal his shoulder injury more quickly, he just needs to stare at this for 2 hours every day. If that doesn't cure what ails you, you're not a real man. Oh, Buffalo Bills versus Miami Dolphins. Oh, don't show me Steve Weatherford again. Oh God, Steve. No matter what happens in this game, it doesn't affect the Patriots at all. Which is why, even though Josh Allen, for better or worse, is becoming an entertaining quarterback to watch, I care even less about this game than the Panthers game. Dolphins win, I guess. Los Angeles Rams versus Detroit Lions. The Rams are playing for the first time since they won that 100-point Monday night fuckfest against the Chiefs. The Lions are a bad team, but you have to hand it to head coach Matt Patricia for keeping them relevant. He wants his team to be prepared to lose in any condition. Matt Patricia is making the Lions practice underwater this week, even though they're playing a land game. If you're dumb enough to believe scientists, teams like the Dolphins, Saints, and Seahawks will all be playing underwater in 40 years anyway. Matt Patricia, always 800 steps ahead of the competition. And if it wasn't clear, I'm picking the Rams. Arizona Cardinals versus Green Bay Packers. I'll be honest, this looks like a very, 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 very bad game on paper. Also not on paper. Basically, anything. It looks terrible no matter how you look at it, especially in the reality of what it is. But we have to consider that Josh Rosen is going to be out for blood after I tweeted during the draft that he looked like a less handsome Aaron Rodgers.
At Brandon Perna. Josh Rosen looks exactly like a less handsome Aaron Rodgers right now during his draft. Thank you.
Did I already mention that Rosen read my tweet like 10 times so far on this channel? Did I mention that? Right now, I don't know if Rosen would switch places with Aaron Rodgers. Rodgers is stuck on a bad team with a bad head coach in frozen Wisconsin. Wait, that's the exact same scenario Josh Rosen is already in, but with better weather. At least Rosen's siblings seem cool. Here they are with him at the NFL draft. Meanwhile, Aaron Rodgers' own brother is calling him out on Twitter. Look, I know Aaron Rodgers doesn't have a great relationship with his family, but he donated $1 million to fight a fire that's not even in his hometown. If my little brother went from looking like this to looking like this, I would throw a 60-mile-an-hour spiral right at his Backstreet Boys looking face at fucking Christmas. And that would be before I found out he spread the news of our dysfunctional family all over Twitter like an attention-grabbing douchebag. I'll pick the Packers. Kansas City Chiefs versus Oakland Raiders. Patrick Mahomes needs 19 touchdowns in the next 5 games to beat Peyton Manning's record of 55 from 2013. Sounds like a lot, but given that he still gets to play the Raiders twice, I think he's got a pretty decent chance at doing that in his 2 games against the Raiders alone. Chiefs will destroy the Raiders, which is a double negative. How do you destroy rubble? New York Jets versus Tennessee Titans. Marcus Mariota is playing the best football since being an Oregon Duck, and the Titans lose 2 in a row after beating the Patriots, even with Mariota's great play. Mariota completed 95.7% of his passes against the Texans and still got his ass kicked. I'm not sure what's crazier, playing that well or a 95 completion percentage not even being the highest for the week in the NFL. Sam Darnold might play this weekend for the Jets, maybe. Regardless, I think the Titans will win. Minnesota Vikings versus New England Patriots. Everybody's gonna be on the edge of their seat waiting for one thing in this game. Will Cordarrelle Patterson squeeze his old teammates' nuts in a hostile manner, or will it be a more familiar, somewhat loving tug of the balls that does forced me to ask the question, who had the better nut shot this year? Cordarrelle Patterson or Chris Harris Jr.? Please comment below with give me Patterson's nuts or give me Harris's nuts. Now regarding Patterson, Vikings coach Mike Zimmer said, quite honestly, they're using him much better than we did. And the way the Patriots are using him is at running back, where he's averaging over 4 yards per carry. This isn't surprising at all, given that Josh Gordon has helped the Patriots meet their quota of employing one African American at wide receiver. Patterson was no longer needed at wide receiver to keep the Patriots from being sued. Speaking of white receivers, I know Bill Belichick is going to be looking at Adam Thielen like Squints looking at Wendy Peppercorn in The Sandlot. Bill Belichick ended Tuesday's press conference saying, I am on and in to Adam Thielen. Then he just stared into the camera and never corrected himself. But the Vikings win in an upset. San Francisco 49ers versus Seattle Seahawks. Remember when Nick Mullins got verified on Twitter because he beat the Raiders on Thursday Night Football? Well, this is him now. Feel old yet? JK, I fucking hate those memes. On the Seahawks side, they're now 6-5, and they're in the wild card spot after a head-to-head victory over the Panthers. I thought after last year, we were going to be done with the Seahawks. Before the season, people were saying they had a good chance at getting the first overall pick in the draft. Those people were idiots. And guess what? They're right back in the fucking playoffs, and they're scary as hell. If there weren't so many other candidates, people might be talking about Russell Wilson as an MVP because he's dragged this corpse of a team over 500 and has casually thrown 25 touchdowns to just 5 picks. I'll take the Seahawks because they have a real quarterback. Los Angeles Chargers versus Pittsburgh Steelers. Good job by NBC for flexing this game into Sunday Night Football. The only thing I'm not looking forward to is all of the ads for John and Chrissy's legendary Christmas. I know this is the it couple of 2018, and I have previously said on this show, if you don't want to be John Legend when you grow up, you're fucking stupid. But if I'm gonna waste my time watching a Christmas special about a couple, I want that special to be with Liam and Noel Gallagher. There's way more tension between those two, plus you'll probably get an Oasis cover of some Christmas songs. Subtitles are a must. Either that or the Rogers Brothers. Also with Oasis music. This is a great test to see if the Chargers are for real. For real. The best team they've beaten right now are the Seahawks. If they can beat the Steelers on the road with everyone watching, I think that solidifies them as a legitimate contender in the AFC. Or does it? Guess who else beat the Seahawks and the Steelers this season? The Denver Broncos. The transitive property in the NFL is bullshit. Phillip Rivers is coming off of a win where he completed 96% of his passes, and Ben Roethlisberger is coming off a loss where he deflected 96% of the blame to his receivers. I mean, Roethlisberger blamed Antonio Brown for this play, for throwing a game-losing interception to a nose tackle. The only thing that is more bullshit in the NFL than the transitive property is the QB rating system. Rivers last week against the Cardinals in a 45-10 win, also just like the Broncos, completed 96.6% of his passes with 3 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, and 8.93 yards per attempt, and somehow didn't manage a perfect QB rating. Instead, he got 138.4. I'm starting to see why people don't trust scientists about climate change. If numbers don't make sense in the NFL, how would they work in the rest of the world? I'm rooting for the Chargers, but I'm picking the Steelers. Somehow they play better the more drama they have swirling around them behind the scenes. Washington Redskin Potatoes versus the Philadelphia Eagles. Washington should lose this game for signing Reuben Foster alone. Like, what the fuck is Washington thinking? Foster has been arrested 3 times in 2018, was suspended to start the season, and has very serious domestic violence charges hanging over him for the 2nd time. And Washington, you say, yeah, that's the guy we want to take a chance on? Fuck you, Dan Snyder and Doug Williams. Foster has been placed on the NFL Commissioner's exempt list, which means he gets paid and Washington doesn't have to waste a roster spot on him. Philadelphia, it is your civic duty to embarrass Washington on Monday Night Football with running back Josh Adams. I'm taking the fucking Eagles because I'm a... Thanks for watching another episode of That's Good Sports. Please subscribe here on YouTube. Share these videos with your tire salesman when you go in to get your transmission fixed. I'm on Twitter at Brandon Perna, Instagram at Brandon Perna. If you want more football BS, feel free to follow me there.